করেছি। Hello. Hello students, in this video we will discuss 30 short questions from your syllabus which will be helpful for your upcoming semester examinations. So the first question goes, what is compounding in word formation? So very simply to explain, compounding means joining two complete words to create a new word. For example, classroom becomes class and room becomes classroom. So whenever two words work together as one word, we call it compounding. Next question goes, define back formation with example. Now back formation works in opposite direction. First of all, instead of adding something, we remove a part that looks like a suffix. For example, if we take the word edit, edit was formed from editor. So we create a shorter word from the longer one. So back formation creates a new word by removing an apparent suffix. The next question goes, what is clipping? Now, in daily conversation, we often shorten some long words. Examination becomes exam, lab becomes laboratory, becomes lab. So this shortening process is called clipping. Clipping basically shortens a word without changing its meaning. Next question is, give one example of blending. Now, first of all, blending means when we combine parts of two words. Breakfast or lunch together becomes brunch. Unlike compounding, only parts of the original words are used. Blending actually mixes parts of two words to form one new word. That is blending. Next is, what is prefix? Now, a prefix is a very simple thing. A prefix is added before a root word. If we look at the word unhappy, the prefix un changes the meaning of happy into not being happy. So prefix generally comes before the root word and changes its meaning. Next is, what is suffix? So suffix is just the opposite of prefix. It is added at the end of a word. For example, kind becomes kindness. The suffix actually changes the word class from adjective to noun. So basically it is added after a root word and often changes the grammatical function. So what is the Latin root of AUD, odd? Now, the Latin root AUD, odd, means hear or listen. Now, if we think of words like audible, audience, auditorium, all of them are connected to hearing or listening. So, the root word odd relates to hearing or listening. The synonym of accurate. Now, first of all, synonym is a word with a similar meaning. For example, accurate can be exact, can be correct, can be precise. They nearly have the same meaning. So synonyms are words with similar meanings. The next question asks the antonym of the word expand. First of all, antonym is the opposite of a word. The opposite of expand is contract, and expand means to become larger. Contract means to become smaller. Okay, so the next question goes, what is an acronym? An acronym is a short word formed from the first letters of a group of words. So, and the most important point that we must remember is that an acronym is usually pronounced as one complete word and not letter by letter. For example, NASA, NASA, it is not read as NASA, rather it is read as NASA, which means National Aeronautics and Space Administration. So another example I can give is PIN, PIN. We pronounce it as PIN, but the full form of it is personal identification number. What is abbreviation? Abbreviation is the shortened form of a word. For example, doctor becomes DR, Mr. becomes MR, Mr. It helps to save, basically, it helps to save time and space. So, abbreviations shorten words or shorten phrases. So, the next question reads, identify the structure. She smiled. Now, first of all, this is a simple sentence. Now, what is simple sentence? Simple sentence has one independent clause and it must express one complete idea. It must have a subject and a verb. So, she smiled is a simple one where she is the subject and smiled is the verb. And it gives us a complete meaning. So, it is a simple sentence. So, one more thing I need to add to this is that a simple sentence does not mean the sentence will be short. It simply means that the sentence has only one main idea, and even longer sentence can be simple sentence. For example, the hardworking students of our class prepared a beautiful presentation. So, this is also simple because it has only one main clause. What is a compound sentence? A compound sentence has two independent clauses. This means that it has two complete ideas that are joined together. These clauses, these kind of clauses, they are usually connected by words like and, but, or, so, yet. So, example I have used here is I studied hard and I passed the test. So, here I studied hard is one complete idea and I passed the test is another complete idea. Both of them can stand alone as separate sentences. So, together they form a compound sentence. The next question goes as what is complex sentence? Now, a complex sentence has one main clause and one or more dependent clauses. For example, I stayed home because it was raining. Here, I stayed home is the main clause because it gives us a complete meaning. And the next part is because it was raining, it is the dependent clause because this part of the sentence cannot stand alone. Okay, so you have to understand that a complex sentence is used when we want to show a relationship between two ideas. One idea is complete and the other depends on it. What is a phrase? A phrase is a group of words that gives some meaning but does not have a complete subject verb combination. For example, in the morning. So it gives information about the time, but it is not a complete sentence. So a phrase cannot be considered a full sentence. It gives us extra information, but it does not have both the subject and the verb together. For example, in the morning, the phrase in the morning. What is a clause? A clause is a group of words that has both the subject and a verb. For example, she smiled. She is the subject and smiled is the verb. So it is a clause. Now, speaking about a clause, I need to mention that there are mainly two types of clause. One is independent and the other is dependent. Independent gives us a complete meaning. For example, if I say, I completed my work, so it gives us a complete meaning. And dependent clause is where it has a subject and a verb but does not give a complete meaning. You can just say, because I was tired. So it gives a meaning, it gives us a sense but does not give us a complete meaning. Into passive voice, the teacher praised the student. So in passive voice, the first thing is that the focus shifts from the doer of the action to the receiver of the action. First of all, let us take the answer. The answer is the student was praised by the teacher. So the student is the receiver of the action, and so it comes in front in the passive voice. Okay. Few things that we need to remember is that in active voice, the subject does the action. And for example, in the sentence, the teacher praised the student, the teacher is doing the action. But in passive voice, we focus on the person or the thing that is receiving the action. So the student comes first, and that is why we write it as the student was praised by the teacher. Passive voice is useful when the action or receiver is more important than the doer. Next, we need to change this sentence into indirect speech. Few things that we need to remember is that while converting from direct to indirect, we usually change the pronouns and the tense. So, I am tired becomes he was tired. So, when we change it entirely, it reads as he said that he was tired. So, indirect speech reports whatever someone said without quoting the exact words. This coherence in paragraph writing. Coherence firstly means logical arrangement of ideas. In a coherent paragraph, the sentences are basically arranged in a meaningful order. For example, if you're writing about your daily routine, you should not start with night, then suddenly talk about morning and then afternoon. So the order must be clear. A coherent paragraph must help the reader understand your ideas easily. So, in simple words, coherence means logical flow of ideas. What is cohesion? Cohesion means connecting sentences smoothly. It is very different from coherence. Coherence is about logical order, whereas cohesion is about linking. Now, we can create cohesion by using linking words like however, therefore, moreover, firstly, finally. We can also use pronouns, repeated keywords, and also parallel structures to connect ideas. So, cohesion means smooth connection between sentences. The next question is about subject-verb agreement. We have to choose from two options given. The list of items is or are ready. Now, the correct verb here is is. The main problem here is that many students may think that the verb is are because the word items is plural. But the main subject we are missing is that the main subject is not items. Rather, the main subject is list, which is singular. So the correct sentence is list of items is ready. Remember that the verb must agree with the main subject and not with the nearest noun. Correct the sentence. Each student must submit their copy. So the corrected sentence is each student must submit his or her copy. Let me explain. In traditional grammar, each student is singular. So the formal correction is each student must submit his or her copy. However, in modern English, singular they, their is also accepted in many contexts, but for traditional grammar exams, his or her is considered to be the correct answer. Remember, pronouns should agree with the noun that they are referring to. What is a misplaced modifier? A misplaced modifier is a describing word or phrase placed in a wrong position in a sentence. Because of this word placement, the sentence may become confusing or even sometimes funny. For example, if I take this word, I saw a man with a telescope. Now, this may mean either I used a telescope to see the man or the man had a telescope. So, the main idea is that modifiers should be placed close to the word that they are describing. Otherwise, it is going to create confusion because of its wrong placement. Error correction, walking to class the rain started. So the sentence is first of all incorrect because it sounds as if the rain was walking to the class. But we all know that rain cannot walk. So, in order to improve or do the correction of the sentence, we can write it as walking to the class, comma, I saw that the rain started. Now, when we read it, we'll find that it is clear that I was walking to the class. Okay, so this is again a case of misplaced modifier. Once again, a reminder is that the modifier should clearly refer to the correct subject. Choose the correct article. She is an honest person or a honest person. So first of all, the correct article would be she is an honest person. Although we see that the word honest begins with the letter H, but the sound H is silent. The word begins with the vowel sound O, honest. So that is why we use an and not a. So article depends on sound, not only just spelling. So we mainly use an before vowel sounds. Correct the sentence, he is good at or in mathematics. Now, the correct expression would be he is good at mathematics. The thing is, we use good at when we talk about a subject or a skill or an activity. For example, she is good at singing, he is good at cricket, they are good at solving problems. So, there are certain adjectives which have fixed prepositions. This is something that we use whenever we are talking about a subject or a skill. Remove redundancy. So, first of all, we need to understand what is redundancy. Now, redundancy means when we use unnecessary extra words. So, the expression repeat again, this whole expression is redundant because repeat already means to do or say something. So, instead of saying repeat again, we should simply say repeat. There are many other examples like these we often use in our daily conversation. For example, return back. There is no need of saying return back. Return it to me or give it back to me. We also say final conclusion. So conclusion itself is final. So why do we use two unnecessary expressions like this? So redundancy should be avoided mainly to make your writing more clear and more precise. Replace the cliche. Last but not least, first of all, a cliche is an overused expression. It is not grammatically wrong, but it sounds common, and when it is used in formal writing, it is sort of weak. For example, last but not least, it is a cliche. Instead of using it, we can say finally, or another important point is. So, using fresh and clear expressions makes our writing look more professional, sound more professional. So, cliches are overused expressions and should be replaced in formal writing. The definition must be also considered as considered important for your short questions. Next question is two essential parts of a professional mail. First of all, a professional mail should be clear, polite, and purposeful. And two important essential parts are a clear subject line and a polite message body. For example, the subject line should tell the reader what the mail is about, and the body should include a proper greeting, followed by the main message and a suitable closing. So, a professional mail, when we say, it should not be too casual, it should not be too long either, and confusing or not confusing too. So, professional mail must have a clear subject, polite tone, proper greeting, and a closing. So, students, today we have discussed 30 short questions from your syllabus HM-HU201. These questions, though they may look small, but they are very important for your upcoming examinations. You can revise, you can use this to revise, you can practice similar questions and try to use correct and precise English in your daily speaking and writing. Thank you.